Hi, beautiful collective. I have a reading for you. It's been a while since I've done a collective reading, so I'm really excited and I already have the cards out on the table. I actually, in my own readings that I've done for myself recently, the last probably handful, 3 or so, I kept getting the card collective reading. And I put that in there specifically because I figured when it comes out, it'll signal to me that it's time for a collective reading. And it did several times. So I have one prepared for you today. And I will say that even as I was getting everything out and ready, I was lighting my candle and it wouldn't light because the wick was too short. And what I needed to do was burn off some of the wax and tilt it out in order to retrieve the wick so that it could stay lit, because otherwise it would just keep going out or it wouldn't be able to be lit at all. And I think that showing up was part of your message as well, right out the gate, that there might be something you need to pour out or release in order to keep your flame lit. Something might be siphoning energy from you, and it could be an energy within you, a mindset, routines, patterns, habits, something that is dimming your light, or it could be something external to you. It could be a person. It might be signifying that if there is somebody draining you in your environment, that it's time to set boundaries. As I talk about the cards that are on the table, I'm going to frame it as though it's a person, just for simplicity's sake, but please know that we're just speaking about energy. So it could be energy within a person or energy within your life in any sense, energy that's coming from within you, part of you that's in need of healing. So take it as it fits. Also, as I was pouring off the wax, it made such a mess. And I think that's also part of your message, that if things are feeling messy and chaotic, it might be because there's too much that is infringing on your energetic space. And it might be time to really protect that, because what I have in the underlying is that there's this awakening of divinity that seems to be happening for you. And that in and of itself suggests that if you resonate with this, that it's extremely important to protect your energy right now. I feel like this is important to say right off the bat. You may be experiencing an awakening of sorts, one of many. I'm sure you've had others in the past, but we just sort of keep having them as we continue to evolve. And if you feel like you're going through that, this could very well be your reading. And then along with that, what I have is vibrational and starseed in your underlying. So the vibrational card, what its meaning is in the book is that your job in this lifetime is to focus on your vibration, to focus on your inner alignment, and that not everybody necessarily comes here with this task, and that it is your task because perhaps you're here in a role that is to be of service, whether you consider it as a starseed or as an empath or as somebody who knows deep in their heart that they have a mission here, that they have specific gifts that they know that they're meant to share. These two cards come out to validate that, along with the Divinity and Awakening card, that cards that I already talked about. So what I have along with that, though, is tension, wishful thinking, and there's this salty card underneath that too. And this is why I wanted to read this as a person. It made me wonder if there is somebody in your energy who has been a source of tension and stress. Maybe somebody who's been a little bit on the bitter, angry, petty side. Those are some of the descriptors that go along with it. And then with the tension card, it's stressed out, worry. If this resonates with you, you might be feeling this physically. And that's so significant when you consider this card, that our job is to really use that information that's coming from our body in order to be able to take steps to protect ourselves, because our vibration is of utmost importance. You're only able to serve in the way you were meant to if you protect this. And this stressed out worry that you might be carrying in your body, or this tension, might be interfering with that. It seems like a message wants to come through to highlight the fact that this is something that you might be sitting in, and that it's a bigger deal than you think. It's a bigger deal than you might be giving it credit of being. And then there's this wishful thinking, second chance, deja vu, and nostalgia card. Part of me when this came out was reading this as this external person who maybe you've tried to set boundaries with them and they have a desire to come back into your energy. And if that's the case, then it might be important to maintain your boundaries, because it kind of feels like there's a bitter, angry, salty energy that would like access to you. And that this reading seems to be suggesting you really instead be protective of your vibration and to feel entitled to be able to do that. So along with all of that, in the underlying, what I also have is the Two of Discs, which is the Two of Pentacles. And this is suggesting that there is a need to balance something, that it might feel as though you're juggling. And because of that, that there might be also a need to narrow your focus. It's kind of like she's trying to keep both of these discs in the air, and it's exhausting. It's creating tension, it's creating stress, and it might be time to put one down. And then along with that, what came to my awareness is this sense that like putting this down, putting one of these down, minimizing your juggling so that you can narrow your focus is going to get you on your path, because it feels like there's this chaos outside of you, or maybe even within you, that has created all of this tension, stressed out, juggling energy that is really interfering with where it is that you need to be. Wow, underneath that I have clarity. So it's like really interfering with your clarity. It's really hard to see clearly when you have all of that going on in your environment. or inside of you, if this is mainly an inside thing that's happening. And then along with that, what I have is chameleon. And so the chameleon speaks to me about adaptability in this reading, considering your environment and what might be going on to focus on what you have control of, which are your own habits, your own patterns of engagement, your own routines, and that adapting some of that might be really, really helpful. And actually, at the end of the day, that might be a little bit of what you're supposed to get out of this experience, which is when we adapt, we often learn new skills. We stretch ourselves. The process of getting on your path is likely going to necessitate that you adapt and evolve in ways that will be beneficial to you in a really big way in the long term. So in other words, even things that are stressful are happening for you. They help us to refine our ways of being. And that this seems to be really something that would then trigger a renewal for you. And this is the goal. This is the underlying goal, is your growth and renewal. There's an awakening that is attempting to unfold for you. It's as though some things are going on in your life in order to wake you up to a bigger purpose that really requires reformation, requires change on your part, interchange, as well as change externally to you, perhaps like boundaries and new routines. But on the inside, this card is really speaking to me about going within and figuring out, wow, if these things are happening in my life and they are dimming my light, making it hard for me to step forward in my calling, then what is it that I need to shift on the inside? And then as I shift that, what does that mean I will have to shift on the outside to support that change? Because shifts that only happen on the inside aren't sustainable in the long term unless we also create an environment in our life that scaffolds those changes that we're trying to make and sustain on the inside. So then along with that, in the underlying, what I have is child. Every time this card comes out, what I see it as is that this may involve inner child work. This seems to be, in part at least, a situation that's asking you to heal what it is that you think you're deserving of, what it is that you feel obligated to. When we are overextending or putting other people's needs ahead of our own, it's at the expense of our inner child. Our inner child is the one that suffers. It's like we're having to sort of muzzle the inner child's message that they're trying to send us about what their needs are in order to meet the needs of somebody else. And so part of this restoration work might really involve you bringing in some inner child work and making that a part of the process of correcting whatever it is that's happening here. So all of that setting the stage, where I'm starting your reading off with is this Three of Swords, which speaks to heartbreak. And it's coming along with this past exiting energy clarifier. So it's as though in the past, there's been some pain that serves as a backdrop for what it is you're experiencing right now. Along with that, what I have is the Empress, which is always so beautiful when it comes out. This is your energy. This is what's trying to really have space to expand in you. The Empress is abundant. She is creation. She is fertile. She is ready to birth new projects, new life into the world. She's creation energy. And all of this has sort of been getting in the way of that, but this is what's wanting to emerge within you. And beautifully, along with that, I have another creation card. This card says creation as well. And the Empress embodies that energy. So you have creation essentially out here twice, and breath. So what all of these coming together are saying to me is that there is something that wants to be birthed through you. And maybe it has something to do with your voice. If it doesn't have to do with your voice, speaking, teaching, something along those lines, this breath might be signaling that it's time to breathe life into what it is that you're trying to create and birth here. Without breath, we don't have life. So it's saying essentially like if you're trying to create and birth something here for yourself, you're going to need to bring some life force energy into that process. And then what I love is that along with that, what you have is this assistance card. So it's like this is coming in and saying, you're not alone here. You have spiritual support, and all you have to do is ask. Give permission for help in the spiritual realm. And then after you do so, surrender, because our desire for control often can get in the way of that help. So it's like you have support, but you're going to need to then surrender in order to receive that support. And then the next row really speaks to me a little bit about your mission, because what you have is the King of Wands. One of the things that I wrote down on this card as I was feeling into the energy of this deck is that the King of Wands is really a steward of collective soul awakening. So it's like not only are you awakening, but you're awakening because perhaps part of your mission is to actually help usher other people through their awakenings. This is a leader. This is somebody who leads from a place of divine vision, but it's impossible to receive that vision when there's all kinds of shady energy around us, because you do have this shady energy that comes along in this row. It's speaking to how powerful you are and the fact that there is great success on the horizon for you. That's what this card really speaks to. But in order to stabilize your life in a way that'll allow that to come in, because this is a stability card here, you're going to need to address the shady energy around you. It's not going to come in fully. This up leveling for you is not going to land in your field until you address the foundation, which means dealing with shady energy, dealing with ways that your energy is leaking, which means that you don't have as much energetic resource on the inside to be able to pour into your mission, your calling. And then along with that, I have the devil. So the devil here is speaking to me about a couple of things. The devil can be really saying that it's time to make some new choices. If you have been making choices that have enabled this energy or that have not taken really good care of you, or if there are choices, habits and routines, or maybe even like addictive patterns or something that are getting in the way, this is showing up to say it's time to make some new choices. This can also, though, speak to the presence of energy that can seek to stop you on your path. And that energy can show up in other people. It can show up inside of you. This is sort of like the illusion of separation that we can sometimes get trapped into that really limits our ability to see ourselves as being able to embody what it is that we're fully capable of embodying here. And then along with that, you have the dog card. So the dog can speak about a lot of different things depending on the reading, but in this placement, in this reading, it's really speaking to the need to protect your interests and your territory. That's something that dogs really do because they are so loyal and protective. They will protect their perimeter. They won't allow shady energy to enter and to threaten the stability and the sanctity of their space and the space of those that they love. It's asking for you to bring in some of that energy, and that may very well require saying no, because this is what came along with that. Using your voice to draw a line in the sand when you need to, and to protect your space, to protect your energy, to protect your future. And then along with that, what I have is this beautiful recovery card. This is your recovery process. This is sort of like a blueprint for moving from this phase of life into the next one. Notice that she's emerging from the water. She's in tune with her emotions. She's honoring those. Her gaze is upward, signifying that she's open to guidance. She's receptive. She's surrendered. But she's also very much in her power from this place. This is not a passive place. This is a very powerful place. And then along with that, what I have is receptivity. And I feel like in this section of this reading, this is popping out to say, be careful what you align your energy with then moving forward. Once you address these cracks in your foundation or the areas where your energy is leaking, be careful then moving forward where you direct your energy and what you allow yourself to be receptive to. We're magnets. We share energy with our surroundings all the time. And in order to step into this powerful role, it requires extreme self-care. Extreme self-care. It requires us to be very choosy of what we do and when, and where we go and when, and assessing all the time whether we have the resource to tackle and take on certain situations, certain dynamics. There are times that we can certainly stretch ourselves. So it's not like we're supposed to live in a protective bubble, but we're not going to stretch ourselves when we're depleted. It's really important to check in first and allow your body, your vessel, to communicate to you about what feels doable on any given day at any given moment, and to say no when you need to, and to stretch yourself when you can, and if you feel called to. And then in this next row, what I have is that this next phase, this process is going to really require your trust and bravery because it's asking you to make a lot of changes. And that's not easy. Talking about it, we kind of make it sound easy, but it's not. Setting boundaries, potentially ending a relationship or very much limiting a relationship with somebody who really would like to continue to have access to you, saying no, changing patterns that are deeply ingrained, addressing our inner child wounds. Doing this work is really hard. It takes a lot of bravery. It takes a lot of trust. I don't know if you can see, but there's a person that's curled up in this protective bubble. So it's like, trust that you're being protected too. You're not alone. You have assistance, but it's a collaborative effort. You have to take the steps first and then ask for protection, ask for assistance, and that will be available to you. This row in your reading also speaks to the need for rest and replenishment. The Four of Swords is all about the need for rest. And then along with it, you have this rest and replenishment card. So it's sort of like I meant what I said. Rest is needed. It's very hard sometimes to allow ourselves to rest. But in this card, she's in this energetic regeneration chamber. I feel like it's asking you to see this as that. You're being asked to energetically revitalize yourself, regenerate your energy from a place of depletion to a place of fullness. That's what's really going to allow you to do this work. There may be a period of rest that's needed. In fact, I got the blank card in this row, which really symbolizes to me that you might be very much in an in-between place, in the void, in a place of rest, and maybe even feeling a little confused about what to do next, a little uncertain. Because along with it, what I have is the Page of Cups, which is a very youthful energy moving forward. You may feel a little bit like you're green again. You're starting over, you're starting on a new leg of your journey. And it's okay for you to not feel like you know everything about what to do. This is a beginner's mind. It's like, bring your beginner's mind to the table here. Take your time, one step at a time. And then along with that, there were a couple cards that came out that kind of alluded to or hinted at some of what you might be needing to work through in your shadow work, in your inner child work, in your healing work, as you are resting and replenishing. and recovering. And that is, there's some fear lingering from the past. There's the fear card and the past card that came out together. They literally jumped out of the deck together. And so it's like, where in the past have you really absorbed messages or energy that are fear-based, that speak fear into your life? And how can you begin to turn toward that, to pour love and healing into that wound, to allow this healing in the inner child to occur? This is a period of healing for you. And really, it's going to be different for everybody, but it feels as though there's the potential for fear to play a role that comes from somewhere in the past. And that might be actually part of what this awakening is about. This particular awakening that you're going through or may soon be going through might be in order to shake off the remnants of that fear-based energy from your auric field. It's like it can't really go forward with you anymore. So let's address it. Along with anything else that is getting in the way, let's turn toward it rather than away from it and really usher in a process of healing here, or deepen your process of healing if that's something you've already been doing. Okay, so I wanted to get one card from this new deck that I have. It's so beautiful. This is actually my very first time pulling a card from this deck, so I'm excited. Let's see what we get for the collective. One card, just for some guidance. Okay, we got the Power Place. So I'm going to read from the book here. It's number 13. For a few moments, try to give yourself permission to be still. Try to let your mind clear and just focus on your breathing for a moment. Maybe put your hand on your heart, and maybe it's both hands. Our nervous systems are typically in high alert because ... life. How might you be able to create an altar to ground yourself, a power place in your own life? Maybe you already have one. Try using your intention to see it as a sacred place, whether it's somewhere in nature or in your own home. We can use our own ocean of consciousness to visit the places that bring us wonder. Try making this a practice for a week and notice the shift that it brings in your nervous system. This really seems to be speaking to the vibrational work. It's like, do you have a place in your life that you routinely go to and you plug back in? Is there a spot in your house? Is it somewhere outside? And wherever it is it somewhere that you allow yourself to spend time in on a regular basis? Because this is the main point out of the whole reading, is to find ways to protect this like it's gold. Something that I've been trying to really incorporate in my own practice, in my own routines, is to really plug in daily, and ideally for a significant amount of time. It doesn't really work the same way if I'm in a rush. So it's like, can I retreat to my special place where I feel like I can tap back into the innermost part of myself, connect with God, pray, meditate, journal? It doesn't have to be that for you. It can be you taking a walk outside every single day. It can be a moving meditation that's part of your workout. Not all workouts work the same way in this. Usually it works best if we want to do a moving meditation that we really be undistracted from the external and really focus inward, because this particular practice is meant to really anchor you back into your own inner essence. It's not about seeking greater vibration or grasping at something to enhance what you already have. Instead, it's about removing the things that get in the way of this shining its brightest. You already have this. It's just that there are layers and layers of dust and debris and energetic muck that gets in the way of this being as bright and authentic as it's meant to be. And so this whole reading has spoken to that. And I love that it wrapped up with essentially like, hey, ground this into your everyday reality. Do something every single day that removes the debris from your energy field. Because as you go about your day, you're probably going to collect more. So dusting it off once a day is such a great practice. How do you do that? Where do you go? Can you squeeze it into your routine? I'm going to go ahead and end your reading there. I hope it was helpful. I hope you're taking the very best care, and I will talk to you again soon. Bye.